Hello and welcome to the start of my Backrooms series. We will be going over a lot of stuff in this series, and there will be about 3 or 4 introductory videos that may or may not be needed to fully understand each level of the Backrooms. Everything I'm about to be reading will be coming from the Fandom Wiki, the website, like when fandom.wiki or whatever. I think it's the official wiki, but I have no way of confirming it. Without further ado, let's begin. The first words on the home screen are as follows. Explore, discover, and document the dark liminal reality known as the Backrooms, experiencing dread and isolation as you navigate it. We wish you luck in your travels. The next thing I shall read is, I'm pretty sure, the original creepypasta for the Backrooms. The Backrooms. If you're not careful and no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the Backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpets, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum humbuzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. And the rest I will just read as we go. Introduction. Welcome to the Backrooms, traveler. It seems you have no-clipped out of the bounds of reality and into a bizarre new world. We'd like to welcome you to the Backrooms, an alternate dimension where the laws of physics cease to apply. Many other people, just like you, are stuck here. Don't panic. You're in the right place for answers. Before you venture further, be sure to refer to this database. This site will be offered the moment you make your entrance, and it contains 3,172 pages aimed to help you navigate the unknown. This database constantly updates. With every discovery, future wanderers' travels become ever so slightly easier. Our database has a few gaps, however, and we would be glad to receive help in improving it. We thank you for your contributions. In the meantime, unpack your bags. You'll be here a while. You're not exiting anytime soon, if ever. What is this place? Glad you asked. Each area of this labyrinth is seemingly random. Barely any sense of continuity exists here. Therefore, the MEG has decided to label each place a level, followed by a number on the database. Levels are genuinely numbered in order of discovery. In rare cases, a specific situation may warrant a specific number assignment for organization reasons. Each level contains its own set of characteristics and objects. Many of these objects will represent items from your previous reality. Most are completely identical, but some may include special properties that distinguish the item. If a level is deemed similar enough to another, such that it can be classified as a continuation, the MEG will deem it a sub-level denoted by a decimal number. However, arbitrary numbers sometimes cannot effectively describe a level in its entirety. Sometimes, to emphasize certain dangers or disorderly matter, the MEG may choose to label a level with a non-numerical character. Such labels are ultimately up to personal choice and may be adjusted if necessary. First, we must describe this place. You're currently in what we have commonly referred to as Level 0, your first destination. This level consists of 3 distinct characteristics: loud buzzing fluorescent lights, yellow-stained walls, and aging beige carpets. If this area unsettles you, I'm afraid this is only the beginning. You'll experience terror and insanity through your journey in the Backrooms. You'll have close calls with death, but even death may not be the end of your travels. Currently, only 9 distinct levels are confirmed. We refer to these as the main 9. Every other level is deemed unconfirmed. This does not explicitly deny their existence, but simultaneously, witnesses of these levels are so few in number that these levels cannot be confirmed to exist. The Backrooms may warp a wanderer's mind, personalizing experiences. Many levels have core elements that define them, but some wanderers may experience the same level differently. Perhaps they feel more monotonous, more nostalgic. No comprehensive guide can fully instruct you on how to survive. Your experiences may differ from the tales from other wanderers. We must warn you, the Backrooms aren't just a series of hallways. As your first experience may suggest, some levels pose a threat to your life, containing various creatures we refer to as entities. They range from passive, helpful companions to hostile, deadly monsters. We apologize for the lack of information on the more aggressive entities. However, realize that many who encounter them may only get to post the occasional eerie image or story before their accounts go dark. Before you move on, know that there is no confirmed exit to this place. No wanderer has ever been confirmed to re-enter reality. This place is your new home. Good luck, wanderer. That was the introduction. So next, I'd like to inform you that there's going to be a bunch of pretty fast scrolling through a bunch of pages that aren't important to know, but if you want to read them, just pause the video. And then if you want to skip them, just go to this timestamp. On your screen right now is the timestamps for the beginning and end of important segments of the video. It's so people who are rewatching this video and coming back to get a reminder on these information can just skip to that part of the video and watch it. So now we begin with survival difficulties. What is a survival difficulty? A survival difficulty is, true to its name, a ranking based on how difficult it is for one to survive in a given level. They are used in level entries to warn wanderers about the possible dangers a level poses and the threats one should expect and prepare for when exploring it. The following are the standard survival difficulties of the Backrooms. Survival difficulty class 0. Safe, secure, devoid of entities. This survival difficulty is meant for hazards that are regarded as completely safe, with no entities or environmental hazards posed by the level whatsoever. One can expect to have an easy journey through a level with this difficulty, with no real dangers or threats along the way. Survival difficulty class 1. Safe, secure, minimal entity count. A level with this survival difficulty is regarded as mostly safe with a few threats present. These threats can range from a minimal number of entities to the layout of a level being slightly difficult to navigate. Similar to class 0, one should expect a relatively easy journey when traveling through levels with this difficulty. Survival difficulty class 2. Unsafe, secure, low entity count. Levels reaching this difficulty begin to be unsafe for a wanderer to pass through as various threats are present, such as entities or environmental hazards. One should expect a hard time exploring this level and should come prepared with the necessary supplies. Survival difficulty class 3. Unsafe, unsecure, moderate entity count. Levels at this difficulty and higher begin to be genuinely dangerous for one to travel in. The term unsecure is applied, meaning that a level is less well mapped than others, has less information known about its overall layout, and that reality may be warped or altered within. One can expect multiple threats in a level with this difficulty, as there are various entities and or hazards present. Proper supplies are always necessary in levels marked class 3 and higher. Survival difficulty class 4. Unsafe, unsecure, high entity count. Levels at this difficulty pose a serious challenge for survival. One should outright avoid levels marked class 4 and higher, as they pose large threats to wanderers. One can expect numerous entities and hazards in levels with this difficulty, and if the level is to be explored, proper supplies and weapons are certainly required for safety. Survival difficulty class 5. Unsafe, unsecure, entity infestation. Levels marked with this survival difficulty are to be avoided at all costs. These levels pose extreme threats to any who survive them, as one will certainly come into serious danger. It can be expected that one will not survive in these levels at all without the proper equipment, weapons, and supplies. Class 5 also serves as the final of the standard survival difficulties. And moving on from there, perfect segue, we have the non-standard survival difficulties. Survival difficulty class undetermined. Mysterious properties, unknown information, undocumented entities. This survival difficulty is meant for levels that have not been explored enough to attain the necessary information required to document them. These levels are usually very mysterious, with most information regarding them being unknown or undetermined. It is recommended to err on the side of caution by avoiding these levels, as unknown hazards may be present and unaccounted for. Survival difficulty class variable, varying safety, heavily unstable, diverse entity count. This survival difficulty is meant for levels with multiple areas of differing safety, with some being notably dangerous and others being safer. One singular survival difficulty would not work to define a level of this nature, so a class variable is necessary. Survival difficulty pending. Undetermined safety, unsecure, unknown entity count. This survival difficulty is typically used in new undocumented levels that await a proper classification. It is used in the same manner as class undetermined, though class undetermined levels do not await classification, they are simply unknown. As a final note, each difficulty class is modifiable via editing the template in the visual editor. The safety, security, and entity count can all be changed to custom fit a level. Additionally, adding E to the first 5 classes converts them into the environmental classes, such as in class 2E. Moving on, we have backroom entities. What is an entity? Entities are classified by 4 categories: their number, name, hazard, and habitat. Number, as the name suggests, refers to the numerical notation of an entity. Name is what the entity is known as. Hazard refers to the implicit danger of an entity, ranked on a scale of 0 to 7. Lastly, habitat refers to how often you'll encounter the entity. On the entity page, there is a simplistic version of entity hazards and their classifications, but I'm going to go into the in-depth version, and then I will go over the last part of entities. So, what is an entity hazard? An entity hazard is, true to its name, a ranking based on how much of a threat an entity poses to a wanderer. They are used in entity entries to inform wanderers about an entity's number, their habitat, and the hazards that one may face when meeting with one of them. Entity hazards. Entity hazard class 0, entity number X, habitat level X. This entity hazard is meant for entities that pose no threats to a wanderer. These entities are known for being harmless and sometimes even friendly. Entity hazard class 1, entity number X, habitat level X. An entity with this hazard class is often to describe non-aggressive entities that may still injure wanderers. This hazard applies for entities that can accidentally damage players in specific situations, such as when they are nearby, confused, etc. Entity hazard class 2, entity number X, habitat level X. This is where entities start becoming, in fact, aggressive. Entities with this hazard will attack wanderers when provoked or damaged. These entities do not necessarily have to be weak in order to receive this classification. Entity hazard class 3, entity number X, habitat level X. Weak, although aggressive entities receive this hazard class. These entities will attempt to harm wanderers even if they do not pose a threat to them. The likelihood of dying or being seriously injured by these entities are low. Entity hazard class 4, entity number X, habitat level X. The average entity hazard, it is used to describe aggressive entities that may actually kill unprepared wanderers. Having basic tools and means of self-defense may decrease the casualties caused by these entities. This is the most common classification out there. Entity hazard class 5, entity number X, habitat level X. Here is where things start getting real. Encounters with these entities will usually not end well unless one is well equipped and prepared for trouble. These dangerous entities are not to be messed around with. Entity hazard class 6, entity number X, habitat level X. Entities with this hazard class are to be avoided at all costs. They are extremely dangerous and life-threatening. They may even end up killing the most prepared MEG researchers and other groups of people. Entity hazard class 7, entity number X, habitat level X. Mythical and anomalous entities which go beyond researchers have been able to explain are classified using this hazard class. These entities may vary from hypothetical entities that grant wishes and permanently modify wanderers to extremely grievous supernatural beings. Very few of these entities have been recorded, but all their manifestations just prove how fascinating the Backrooms can be. And now we have the non-standard survival difficulties. Entity hazard class variable. Sorry, I think it meant entity hazard thingy, but it fucked up. Or whoever wrote it made that mistake, and it hasn't been corrected yet for some reason. Anyways, now we have the non-standard entity hazard classes. Entity hazard class variable. Entity number X. Habitat level X. Entities that are capable of mutating or that are able to feature different characteristics based on habitats or biology fall under this class. It is important to research and know which type of entity you will end up facing before meeting up them. From there, we move back to entities. Now we have entity habitats. Entity habitats. Unknown. The location of the entity is unknown. Extinct. The entity has been wiped out. Nearly extinct. Very few of the entity remain and are mostly found on hidden levels. Rare. The entity is found on less than 5 levels. Uncommon. The entity is found on at least a dozen levels. A dozen is equal to 12. Common. The entity is found on more than 20 levels. Majority. The entity is found on over 50% of levels. Many. The entity is found on a myriad of levels. The Backrooms. The entity is found on in all levels. From there, we are done with entities, and whenever we encounter an entity in a backroom level, we will finish the backroom level unless the entity intrudes the level description. If it doesn't, once we finish the background level, we will go back, look at the description of the entity, and read it. Anyways, moving on from there, we now have levels, the description of levels, the definitions, and such. Normal levels. Normal levels, diverse in size, security, and safety, are the blueprint of the Backrooms. Some levels are homes to sustained communities, while others pose major threats to any life inside them. Many of these levels represent what are known as liminal spaces, invoking an eerie feeling inside the heads of its inhabitants. View some of the level's photographs, and you may enthusiastically point your finger and scream, "This place looks familiar!" We must warn you that the Backrooms do not abide by normal Earth laws. Physics is thrown aside for more chaotic anomalies. We urge you not to linger in any single level unless there is a documentation proving its safety. Levels can change over time or even stop existing. Whenever this happens, a different space will replace the old level, which will cease to exist from the database, but can be found in our archives. Remember that numbers are arbitrary. In most cases, the level's number has no correlation with the level's properties. Please keep this in mind when you ultimately create a new level document on our database. Understand that it is your duty to create a piece of documentation immersive and descriptive enough such that your readers who traverse the level you're documenting know just as much as you do. Remember that you have creative freedom in how you choose to portray your discoveries. Ask yourself whether a lost wanderer who views your level entry can effectively navigate it using your information. Don't worry if you lack information. Another wanderer can always fill in. However, ensure that you have a general gist of the level you're documenting and enough elaboration to make wanderers' travels easier. There are confirmed levels, the main 9. Their names go as such, and we will be going over these in a single video, unlike the rest of the videos after that. Level 0, the lobby. Level 1, habitable zone. Level 2, pipe dreams. Level 3, electrical station. Level 4, abandoned office. Level 5, the hotel. Level 6, lights out. Level 7, thalassophobia. And Level 8, cave system. From there, we have sublevels. Sublevels, often considered the in-between levels, are often with a direct connection to their parent level, but lack enough distinguishing qualities to be labeled with its own number. However, because sublevels are technically not direct continuations of their parent levels, we have decided to number this category of levels as a decimal number, with the integer portion being the parent level. Many sublevels continue the theme of their parent levels, albeit with a different twist justifying the creation of a separate page. They are not merely different rooms of a parent level. Each sublevel should have a different tone while maintaining a similar atmosphere. When it comes to sublevels, I will read the main level, entities and such And whenever that's done, you'll read the sub-level and do the same as a normal level would, but for the sub-level. It will be in the same video too. The sub-levels of the main 9 are as such. Level 0.7, Claustrophobia. Level 1.1, Broken Halls. Level 2.4, Gated Corridors. Level 3.2, Wired Industry. Level 4.1, Subway Station. Level 5.1, Blinding Lights. Level 6.1, the Snack Rooms. Level 7. I think that's a 1, but it looks like an upside down 7. I'll be real. Anyways, Opposite Oceans. Level 8.6, Martian Caverns. We also have anomalous levels. Anomalous levels are mysterious in nature. They cannot be fully described with an arbitrary number. Their lack of definite discovery dates makes it extremely difficult for us to firmly label with a specific number. Therefore, they are referred to by symbols, exaggerated numerical values, or their most distinguishing feature. While not necessarily more dangerous, these places generally ignore the rules of normal levels in the backrooms, sometimes feeling like otherworldly dimensions rather than liminal spaces. You have been warned. Many of these places will break your sense of reality. There are a lot of anomalous levels, but some of them include the end level, exclamation point, run for your life, exclamation point, the Whisper, 922-33-72036, O as in 0, 854-775-807. Recollections, level negative 15, on ascertained, level special E, your sacrifice, level 11, in parentheses question mark, the Infinite City, and the Torment. We will definitely be going over all anomalous levels. I'm not sure when or how. I think I'll just do it every now and then, as instead of like a normal level continuation. And then of course we have, joke levels after that. I'll read the description, but I'm not naming them. I'll just show a screen. You could see it. You could see it. Joke levels. Joke levels aren't canon to the main Backrooms lore and have the intention to be funny, ranging from meta content to connections with popular memes found throughout the internet. I think I'll do a joke level every April 1st. Maybe multiple, who knows. Anyways, from there we have objects. Definition of object. Objects in the Backrooms are anomalous items that can be found and carried out of levels. They diverse in usefulness, danger, rarity, and anomalies. As most of objects serve a purpose, like entities, we can point out that every level has its own set of objects, often matched to the level's theme. Some objects' properties can be documented and reproduced to make an object factory. For example, almond water is produced by Almond Water Inc. and originated as a regular object commonly found in the Backrooms to help you in your adventure. The origins of items and objects in the Backrooms are unknown, but it is presumed that objects that no-clipped into the Backrooms have been influenced by properties in no-clip tunnels, registered by Backrooms and recreated in still expanding liminal hell, or they were just created along with the Backrooms by some powerful time-traveling god, as most of the objects are in 21st century style. For example, liquid pain bottles. No one knows. The following is a list of common objects: almond water, neon water, smoothies, liquid pain, pool stone, moth jelly, shrink potion, deoxyribose syrup, and cashew water. Purposes. Objects in the Backrooms are made for an unknown purpose, considering the Backroom should be a liminal hell instead of almond water factories, but people aren't protesting due to items making adventures in the Backrooms more epic and easier. As I said before, items vary very much, with some of them being necessary to survive. For example, almond water, other attracting entities, blue octagon can do that, making your adventure harder, shrink potion by making you smaller, completely healing you, neon water can cure any disease and most wounds, cool, or being a coal counterpart, pool stun. As you can see above, objects also could have their classes, but major colonies think that is unnecessary. A numeration of objects also was tried to implement, but it turned out to be a total failure. That is why some object documents are left with numbers. while others not. I won't go over common objects in this. I will do it in a different video because there are a lot of them. I'm just going to go over every single object that there is listed in the wiki, so that when we are reading them, so that when we are reading levels, we know it. So yeah, look for that video on my channel. It should be out shortly after this one. From there are groups and theories. Now, the theories I'm probably not going to do for a while, but groups I'll do today as well as items. Basically, groups, there are a lot of them, but they're probably going to be important. Some of them are going to be important to understanding a level. So I'm going to do a separate video on those, and I'm going to do a separate video on theories, but not now because theories are probably going to be nowhere near as important and maybe not even brought up for a while. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it helped. For now, I'm just going to, I don't know, chill in level 0 as we've been doing the entire video, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope my reading wasn't dog shit awful. See you in the objects explanation video, or whatever I decide to name it. Signing off, Re-Raptor.